And hello everyone, Carlos here. Welcome again to a new episode of What's Up in Archaeology. Today we're going to talk a little bit about culture, but in giving an example of what culture is, we're going to use the analysis of ochre. Now, what is ochre, you might add? Basically, ochre is a natural pigment. Just to you guys hearing me okay? No no breaking up or anything? Yeah, well, sound's coming through, so cool. So let's begin. First, I'll show you the Wikipedia definition of what ochre is. Okay, it's good enough for certain things. Wikipedia is more than fine. Things not so much. So we begin. Ochre is a natural earth pigment. It consists of iron oxide, hydrated iron oxide, most of them, but you also have the anhydride iron oxide, which is red ochre. They come in a variety of colors. You can see here they come from, as we should read, from a yellow to a deep orange or brown. And the names of the colors produced, especially the light brownish yellow, they used for is to make paint, and it's a natural coloring pigment. But in the prehistory and time of it, it wasn't used. It was also used, obviously, as a pigment, as a marker, and so on. As they mixed it up with a binding agent, such as be a good binding agent, say grease, the fat from animals, or and so on. You can make a dabble in water, and you can use it to decorate caves and so on. You guys know the cave paintings everywhere in Australia. You have them, obviously. In the north, the Aborigines used ochre. The fish oil's fine. Yep, you can mix it up with any of those. It's a binding agent even. Later, you can add even egg yolks, egg whites, and you can use it to paint, as the medieval art, the artists during and after the Middle Ages used them. So yeah, it's a nice. But we are going to analyze something that demonstrates how culture works and how it transmits through time. So I'll show you the article. It's this one. It comes from News Network Archaeology. In the link, I also have the actual study from the journals of the PLOS organization. If you guys want to have a read, it's more obviously much more detailed than this article, but the article's fine for us. So I'm going to make a big screen so it's much easier to read. Right, we've analysis of a 40,000-year-old ochre finds in Ethiopia's Pork Epic Cave point to symbolic use. Obviously, ochre has been used. I've talked about this before. There's evidence of Neanderthals using ochre to cover their burials. They cover the bodies of the dead people, the dead family members that they buried, because Neanderthals, not just Neanderthals, pre-agricultural societies were family and extended family tribal groups. So yes. It was used, like I said, for painting on the caves, art, as a ceremonial component to cover not just Neanderthals, but even in Homo sapiens they were used to cover in burials. We have evidence of that. In here, they investigated the archaeological sites in South Africa for the use of symbols by Homo sapiens. So examining painting kits, spear points, beads, ostrich eggshell engravings. They also studied the use of reddish iron-rich rock ochre. It was to Ochre that members of the project team have more recently returned. We have here the cave of the Pork Epic Cave in Ethiopia. It's a nice abbey. See the excavation of it. I'll try and make it even a little bit bigger. Oh, wrong way. The living area of the cave. You can see it has nice background stuff, but that's not important. What they found from this cave, we'll continue reading that, when the recent writings of the open access journal +1, you can click onto it and it gives you the actual article which I have. The members from the Track Symbols project team explained that the ochre commonly used in the Middle Stone Age. Now, Middle Stone Age is the designation for African sites, which is equivalent to Upper Paleolithic in the Eurasian sites. 170 to about 1,000 years. So that's the period we're talking about. It's basically Homo sapiens and Neanderthals. That's the period where, but in Africa, it's all Homo sapiens at this point in time. The state in which it was found, the piece is modified through grinding and scraping to produce the red powder. This is the anhydrous iron oxide or red ochre. Along with ochre-stained objects such as the lithic and bone tools, led researchers to treat its presence as an indicator of modern symbolic meditated human behavior. In other words, culture. By the way, just a break, I'm having this beautiful imperial stout called Luzia. I think it's Portuguese. I'm not sure. It's bloody awesome. I'll take a photograph of the bottle and post it on my Twitter so you guys can see. Yes, exactly, Archaeology. The red ochre is considered the blood of the earth goddess. Even possibly the Venus figurines of a later Upper Paleolithic sites could indicate that, because they were fertility symbols and the blood, etc. So yes. Let's get on with it. In the latest research, the team's known East African Middle Stone Age ochre collection of Pork Epic Cave, Ethiopia, comprised of a hauls of 40 kilograms of ochre, which spanned a period of 1,500 years and dates back to around 40,000 years. So about 40,000 years ago, during 4,500 years ago, the people that occupied this cave for that period of time were using ochre in this cave, and as it goes on, it shows that they were using it they were transmitting the use of it to their future generations. They were basically transmitting the culture, and they were used for that longer period exactly the same way. To understand how ochre has been processed and so learned something of its use, the team analyzed 3,792 pieces using visual characterizations, microscopy, surface texture analysis, morphological and morphometric analysis, while also replicating the grinding techniques. The replicating of the grinding techniques is experimental archaeology, and we have here some of the grooves in the material, the element, the stones, ochre pieces, some of the scratches of the grinding ways, the modified pieces, of course, the scourings, etc. The key finding was that the cave dwellers seemed to have acquired, treated, and used the same types of ochre over this 4,400 period. So they were basically, you could call this culture, that because it was so long spanned, 4,400 years, using the same exact techniques, the same materials, the same method to treat the ochre, to modify the ochre, you could call them the ochre culture. That's how you name cultures. The Acheulean culture is named after the Acheulean blades that were found in a certain layer in the Acheulean cave in France. The Mousterian culture, again, the Mousterian toolkit, how they made the stone tools, etc. From the Mousterian cave, again, in the layers associated with Neanderthals. Acheuleans were pre-Neanderthals. Mousterian was Neanderthals. Then you have the later Homo sapiens, which began with Châtelperronian, Solutrean, and what was the last one? I always forget one of them. I know there's three: Châtelperronian, Solutrean. It'll come to me. Solutrean is the one I specialized in. It was the last, basically the end of Neanderthal, and the microlithic, really complex toolkits of Homo sapiens. So that's how you name a culture. And in this case, we could name them. It's perfectly viable and viable to name this culture the Ochre culture. Some ochre pieces evidenced the use of grindstones over time, most likely to produce a powder, which fits knowledge about powder's use in physical adornment, such as body painting, or other modifications, of course. Though thought a more utilitarian purpose that has not been ruled out, of course. Could be used for decorating stuff, things, tools, their spears, their clothes, which hasn't survived, obviously. Organic materials over time doesn't survive very well, but the decorations, yeah, could be used. That's one way. And so that's a possibility. The original Trans Symbols project was set to explore the emergence of key cultural innovations in Europe and Africa and Europe from about 160,000 years to 25,000 years ago. In Africa, the archaeological excavations were concentrated in the southern regions, the West Cape Province, South Africa. And here we have some of the ochre pieces. Plus some blades. They look like blades. Let's see if what's going. Now they're all ochre pieces, but they've been modified in a way that they found that over time, over the 4,500 year period, they were basically using the same methods and the same material, basically the same type of ochre, which they would have obviously obtained locally. I'm honestly ignorant on where to find ochre, so I won't even try to give an explanation. The Wikipedia page, which I showed, obviously shows it. In this context, I'm more interested in how they were modified than where they mined it, of course. But the mining is also another aspect where they obtain their raw materials. Is also a very important aspect of their culture, because the way that the mining techniques can also mirror and explain, and techniques that are passed on over time. So, Archaeology. Yeah, I knew it had to be something to do with the clay deposits, but I'm not always sure, because I have seen clay deposits, and in my area there is enough iron inside, mixed with the inside dissolved, or basically incorporated into the granite that we have here. and because I can see on some of the stagnant pools, it forms the reddish iron oxide tinge in the mud, but I can never find the actual clay stones. So yeah, the clay, the ochre deposits and so on. Hello, my Dwayne. Let's continue reading. Oh man, this imperial stout is fucking nice. Very, very nice. Anyway, let's get back to leave drinking alone. Let's get back to the article. The team complemented the archaeological approach with paleoclimatic indicators which reflect the evolution of temperature, vegetation, and fire regimes. So they studied the cave from the cave deposits. They try to find any indications of climate over time, climatic change, even seasons. You could find seasons in deposits. In summer, you get a drier, thinner deposits, which is because of the less moisture in the air. And in generalizing here a bit, because it depends on the environment. In Europe, it wouldn't be as dry, but in African and drier parts, it would be more. You could almost could see slight variations in the dirt that's deposited inside the caves, general use and so on, and also the fire regimes, how the types of wood they were burning, in fact, to make the fire in the heaths. In winter, even depending, they could use smaller shrubs because they were easier to burn because they're obviously green. In the summer, they're drier bits that fall off, and you can see that they burn in a different way. The vegetation as well. Over the year, there's different types of food available because these people don't. There was a seasonal variation of what they ate, especially the plant material. Seeds of fruits would be in autumn. Grasses also, fleshier vegetable material would have been earliest, like middle spring to early summer, etc. That's how basically you would see the over time the vegetational change in the deposits. So the findings led by the team concluded that Homo sapiens was already yes, Neanderthals were using them earlier even than that, symbols. We know from caves, etc. We know from cave art, talked about, and not just cave art, actual portable art from Neanderthals and Homo sapiens. We know that they were using symbols, and that's one way. And they're possibly as far back as 100,000 years ago. But this context is in South Africa, so it's fine. This timing is significant, as it suggests that by the time Homo sapiens were leaving Africa, generally thought to be around 80,000 to 60,000 years ago. Last week, I think I proved that there could have been an earlier migrationary route of earlier Homo sapiens, the more archaic elements, versions of us. So yeah, but they were already modern. Yes, they were already modern by this period. So, and it had previously been thought that the culturally and technological significant advancements of Homo sapiens originated in Europe 40,000 years ago. Furthermore, this modernity is likely to have contributed to their subsequent dominance across Europe. That's a conclusion. Further evidence. It's a hypothesis valid as the other ones that are going around. So yeah. Going back to the ochre. Here's some variations. They have limonite. Hematite is the red ochre, by the way. Goethite is goethite. It gets a brown ochre after the poet Goethe. and some clays in Roussillon province in Vaucluse. It's an important pigment since the 18th century. Yeah, the modern pigments, but yeah. Yeah. Aurignations, that's the one I couldn't figure out. The aurignation. There you have the Chattoperonian, aurignation, Solutrean. The aurignations are the middle Homo sapiens Paleolithic assemblages. So yeah. Okay. I think I've covered this enough. This is a short one. I don't have to make really long versions. I know programs. I know that they can be a bit boring. Tomorrow on Neanderthal Tuesday, it'll probably be a bit longer than today's, but or not. We'll see. I have something planned, so that's just as it is. Any questions, guys? Tor Heyendahls, the Kontiki raft that came across the Pacific. Well, it's an experimental archaeology that proved that it can be done, but it's not necessarily that it did occur. You have to take that in mind. It could be done, but it doesn't necessarily mean it was done. They've also the Kontiki, the West African to Brazil, and he's also did the balsa wood, one, and the reed ones from the reed boats from like the reed boats in the Bolivian lake. I can't remember. So yeah, Thor Heyerdahl is an experimental archaeologist at the description which would fit him most, but that's all I can say about him. Any more questions, guys? Anyone? Am I on? Yeah, I'm on. Yeah, thank you, Kianum. Exactly. Pollinate American crops. I won't even speculate. I don't know what. So no. Anyway. Okay. Thank you guys for coming on. How are you, Tokamotus, mate? And BJ Price, my pleasure. Thank you for being here, man. I hope I made it as entertaining as possible. Just stop sharing. On what I'm drinking. I'll try and see if I can show you. I'm a bit naked, so just from the top up, not from the top down. Let's see if the camera works. Yep, it works. It's me. Can you guys see what I'm drinking? It's I just put this a bit more towards like that. See if I can get a good. It's called Lucia. It's an imperial ale, an imperial stout, I mean, and yeah, it is. It's all it looks like a painting, and let's see. I'll try and find out where it's from. And volume, centiliters, and it's called Cerveja Luzia. Yeah, it's a nice craft beer. I am really, really, really impressed with this. What's your favorite style of beer? Hola. Talking about Zayola, but at the moment I'm really into IPAs, um, ales, and porters. I'm into the darker type of beers, yes, except for the imperial IPAs, which are obviously lighter coloured. But I'm used to going to the more, what you can say, more meatier beers in that. I actually have a few different ones. I have um, an American oatmeal ale or stout or something. Um, I have quite a few IPAs. I have an imperial stout, Belgium. It's got 17%. It's 17%. It's so fucking awesome. I'm gonna save it up for a bit. And yeah, that's the ones I got at the festival, the beer festival on Saturday. I went there. I told you guys I was going there. So yeah. So guys, I think I'll wrap it up. It's always a pleasure seeing you, having you guys on. Thank you, Malefice. The just the thought of you just doing that is it makes, man. Thank you. Ginger beer. Yeah, I haven't drank ginger beer since I was in Australia. So, oh yes. No, I don't have mead, but I have called distilled honey. Is it mead? Hydro honey. One sec. Yeah, oh, it's similar to mead. Yeah, hydromel. That's what I got. But I gotta get mead. I will get mead. I think I know where I can get mead. But yeah, so guys, thank you for coming on. See you most likely tomorrow, 10 o'clock again, because 9 o'clock's too early. And honey mead. It could be that hydromel. God damn it! Let's. What's the English word for it? Translate. Hydromel. Yeah, it's the same. Mead. It's mead. God damn it! It's mead. I have mead there. Hydromel is mead. I have this really nice mead. I thought so. I don't need to buy mead. I bought mead. God, I'm such a noob. And on that note, I'm the biggest noob around. Thank you guys, and see you tomorrow then. Bye bye.